Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 17, which is entitled as Shraddha-traya-vibhāga yoga, the three types of faith. Sloka 3. Sattvānurūpā sarvasya śraddhā bhavati bhārata śraddhā-mayo puruṣo yo yac-chraddhaḥ sa eva saha. As per Arjuna, he was being very generous in his thought. He was thinking one will get at least some benefit if they do their work with complete faith, though it is not recommended in the scriptures. But as per Krishna, that is not the case, which will be revealed in later slokas. It doesn't matter how much faith one has in their work. If their deed, their work is not recommended in the Shastra, they get no benefit. That which is instructed in the scriptures has three types of faith: sattvika śraddha, rajasa śraddha, and tamasa śraddha. These śraddha faith are born from one's ruchi, desire. That desire, that ruchi, which is a outcome of one's previous vasanas, and that vasanas which originates due to the gunas, sattva guna, rajoguna, and tamogunas, and that vasana blooms in accordance with the guna that grows in the mind and the body. Depending on the vasana, ruchi changes, and according to the ruchi, the shraddha changes, and that shraddha shapes one's action, and finally that action yields the respective result, and that result could be of sattvika, rajasa, or tamasa. So this is what is explained in this sloka as a continuation from the previous sloka. Now let's see the meaning of the sloka. Bharata, O descendant of Bharata dynasty, sarvasya, of everyone, śraddhā, the faith, sattvānurūpā bhavati. Here sattva refers to mind, not the sattva guna. Sattvānurūpā bhavati means is in accordance with one's mind. We have to take this sattva as mind. If we take it as sattva guna, then we are not considering the rajoguna and tamoguna, because rajoguna gives certain result, tamoguna also gives certain result, likewise the sattva guna. Therefore sattvānurūpā bhavati is in accordance with one's mind. Puruṣo, here puruṣo doesn't mean only men, it includes men and women. Puruṣo, each one, or the living entities. Śraddhā-mayo, changes according to his faith. It doesn't mean that puruṣa is shraddha. We will talk about this as we go into more details. But for now, let's understand śraddhā-mayo means changes according to his faith. But that change doesn't happen to Atma. Atma never changes. It is avikara. So it is not to mean that the person is shraddha. It is he who receives the result affected by the shraddha, by the faith. If one's shraddha is sattvika, the result that they get is sattvika. If one shraddha is rajasa, then one result they get out of that will be rajasa. Likewise, if one's shraddha is tamasa, the result will be tamasa. And that's what meant by śraddhā-mayo. Each one is bestowed with a result that springs from respective shraddha. Yaha, who, yac-chraddhaḥ, has faith in whatever nature of experience of the fruits, saha, he, sayeva, transform into a man of that nature or woman of that nature. Translation: O son of Bharata, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. We learnt in the previous sloka that Atma's jnana, when it comes in contact with the sattva, rajas and tamas of the mind, it takes that particular guna and travels out, and then it gets respective ruchi, either sattvika ruchi, rajasa ruchi or tamasa ruchi. Based on that ruchi, the respective shraddha happens: sattvika shraddha, rajasa shraddha or tamasa shraddha. So it is the disposition of the mind which is ruchi, and it is the disposition of the ruchi which is shraddha. Until last sloka, we learned that from ruchi we get shraddha, and then that gives us respective result. Here we are learning it is the mind which gives us shraddha. So which one is right? Is the previous sloka correct, or the third sloka that we are seeing now, is that correct? Why Krishna seemed to be contradicting just within the two slokas? There is no contradiction. Let's understand this one. If we take one step, it is ruchi, the cause of shraddha. If we take two steps behind, then it is the mind, manas, which is the cause of shraddha. It's like saying Ravi is in college because he completed his high school, whereas someone else says Ravi is in college because he completed his middle school. There is nothing wrong in both statements. There is no conflict with these two statements. So how to remove the confusion? Ravi got into college because he did middle school, which led him to the high school, then to the college. There is a sequence. It's not two separate, independent statements. So when Krishna said in the previous sloka, ruchi is the cause of one's shraddha, and in this sloka, mind is the cause of shraddha, what we need to understand is mind, which is cause of ruchi, and ruchi, which is cause of shraddha. Or we can simply say mind is the cause of shraddha, or we can say ruchi is the cause of the shraddha. That's the first half of the sloka. Sattvānurūpā sarvasya śraddhā bhavati Bharata. One's faith is in accordance with one's mental disposition. Then śraddhā-mayo ayam puruṣah yo yac-chraddhaḥ sayeva saha. One attains results according to his faith. A person has faith in attaining whatever kind of result. He gets the fruits in accordance with that particular faith. Yaha yat śraddhaḥ sayeva saha. This is the fourth line of this sloka. In the third line of this sloka, Krishna said in general terms that śraddhā-mayo ayam puruṣah, that it is the shraddha itself, the living entity. Here in the fourth line, he elaborates that whatever faith a man is possessed with, he attains the fruits of that nature. Yaha yad śraddhaḥ. He possessing the kind of faith he does, sayeva saha. He truly is that kind of faith. he is a manifestation of that kind of faith. That is, he only attains results in accordance with that kind of faith. If one's faith is sattvika, his result is going to be sattvika. It's not going to be rajasic or tamasic. If one's faith is tamasic, he is not going to get sattvic result. Let's see an example. It is said, Ayuhu Kritam. This is said in the Shastra, which declares that good ghee is good for long life. But the statement says, Ayuhu Kritam. Ghee is life. But that doesn't mean ghee is life. Ghee is not Ayuhu. It only increases the lifespan. Just a side note, some people generally have an idea that oil is bad, ghee is bad. It is not bad if it is taken in a moderate quantity, as much as needed. For that matter, anything is bad if it is taken excessively. It doesn't matter ghee or oil. Therefore, our body also needs some little quantity of oil for it to function well. Getting back to our point, the usage Ayuhu Kritam means ghee is life doesn't mean ghee is life. It means the ghee increases the lifetime, or ghee promotes longer life. In the same way, the phrase Shraddha is puruṣo is to be taken to mean he who experiences the outcome of Shraddha, not that the puruṣo is Shraddha. Why we can't say puruṣo as Shraddha? Because the puruṣo, the self, Atma, is eternal. It is not correct to say it is affected by Shraddha. It is the mind and the body which are the byproducts of the Mula Prakriti. The Mula Prakriti which has these three gunas, from which the Mahan comes, which also has the three gunas, from which the Ahankara comes, which also has the three gunas, from which the Panchabhuta comes, which also has three gunas, from which the body is created, which will for sure have the three gunas, and also the Manas, which also has the three gunas. But the Atma itself never goes through these changes, like how the Prakriti changes from one state to another state to another state, and finally becomes the body. So the Atma never goes through the expansion or contraction. It is the consciousness, the jnana of the Atma, which goes through expansion and contraction through its contact with the mind and indriyas. So when the jnana of the Atma gets in touch with Manas, at that particular time, if the Manas is of predominantly with Sattva Guna, then the jnana of the Atma tune into the Sattva Guna of the mind and travels out, developing a Sattva Ruchi, producing a Sattvika result. If the jnana, when it connects with the mind, and the mind is of Rajasa, then the jnana of the Atma tunes to Rajasa Guna and then travels out, developing Rajasa Ruchi. Likewise, it develops Tamasa Ruchi when the mind is predominated with Tamasa Guna and produces tamasic result. So the cause for one's reward or the result is based on one's Shraddha, faith. A pot made of mud remains to be mud. A pot which is made of silver remains to be silver. Likewise, a person made of particular Shraddha remains to be That's Shraddha. Therefore Krishna says śraddhā-mayo puruṣah. But let's be careful with the example which was presented now, because the pot, the clay pot and the silver pot is not same as the Atma. It is just taken to explain as how when the Shraddha of a person is so strong, we can say that person itself as that Shraddha. That's the only purpose of taking those examples. Not to consider that the Atma is made of that Shraddha. That certain Atmas are made of Sattvika Shraddha, certain Atmas are made of Rajasa Shraddha, and certain Atmas are made of Tamasa Shraddha. That is not the message here. But since they are so closely, tightly related, and everything depends on the Shraddha, it is said Shraddha is puruṣo. Like Ayuhu Kritam, ghee is life. In the next sloka, Krishna provides a classification of Shraddha based on respective recipient of the Shraddha. Please remember, Krishna has not yet answered Arjuna's question. The question that persons who undertake work which are not prescribed by the Shastras, keeping aside the Shastra, but they have complete faith in what they do, what will be their state? What do they get out of it? And Krishna's response is going to be in the 5th and 6th sloka. Before that, in sloka 2, 3 and 4, Krishna gives some details about Shraddha. First, sattvānurūpā sarvasya śraddhā bhavati bhārata śraddhā-mayo puruṣah yo yac-chraddhaḥ sa eva saha. Namaste. Hare Krishna.